All right. So today we will discuss databases. What is a database? Basically, a database is a collection of data that is organized in a way that it provides complete information about an entity. For example, your school might have a database, the hospitals that you visit will have databases. So every other organization has a database of their own where they keep or store the information of all the students or all the customers or all the patients that are currently enrolled or that are currently visiting that particular hospital. So a database is basically a collection of data. So your school database might have the information of all the students that are enrolled in the school and which subjects are they taking, which grade are they in. So this type of information will be stored in the database. So now we have two types of databases. One is a file-based database and the other one is a relational database. A file-based database basically consists of different files where data can be stored. These can be your Excel sheets. So if, for example, you want to store the data of grade 1, then it can have a separate Excel sheet. Then for grade 2, we can have a separate Excel sheet. But obviously, like if we have to store the data of all the grades in Excel sheets, then we'll have to make a lot of Excel sheets, and this number of students can exceed a certain limit. So a file-based database will have its limitations or its drawbacks. A file-based database is easier to use, it's more user-friendly. For a relational database, you'll obviously have to uh, get familiar with the syntax or get familiar with how the software works, and then you can form a relational database. But a file-based database is easier to make, but it has a lot of drawbacks. We'll be discussing the drawbacks later on. A relational database is an advanced method of storing data in an organized manner using tables. Now, when I gave an example of the Excel sheet, that grade 1 can have a separate Excel sheet, grade 2 can have a separate Excel sheet. What if in grade 1 and grade 2 there are siblings? So that means the information of these two siblings should be linked with each other. But in Excel sheet, there is no method of linking these two sheets together so that I can extract the information of that particular child from grade 1 and their sibling from grade 2, and then I can see their details. But a relational database gives you the freedom of building links or building relationships within tables. So these relationships can be built using keys. There are multiple keys that can be allocated in a particular table, and those keys can be used to extract the information that you need. So instead of going through the whole data once, you can just extract particular values. Now let's just look at the differences between file-based approach and relational database. So data redundancy means the repetition of data. For example, if I have an Excel file that has information about 1,000 students, then there are chances that the information might be repeated of certain students. So the Excel file or Excel sheet will not prompt me or inform me that this data is being repeated. So I'll have to go through the data manually and see if there are repeating values or not. So when the data is repeated, obviously it has like accuracy issues, and it can also cause space issues because then it will take a lot of space uh, to, for that data to for that particular sheet to be stored, right? So this is called data redundancy issue, means data repetition issue. Then we have data inconsistency issue. Data inconsistency issue means that the data might not be updated everywhere. For example, if in one file I have updated the information of student 1, let's just say student 1 changed their address, house address, and I updated that house address in file 1. But there might be another file, a file 2, that have the information of student 1, but I have not updated that this information in file 2 because it will not be automatically updated. So that means the information stored in file 1 and file 2 do not match with each other. So this is called your data inconsistency issue. If I update the data in file 1, it should automatically be updated in file 2. So relational databases basically overcome this issue. If I update the data at one place, it will be updated on the other side because the tables are linked with each other. So the data will automatically be updated. So data inconsistency issue can be resolved using relational database. Then we have data dependency. Data dependency means that the data is dependent on each other. For example, if like the student wants to change their house address, that house address might be dependent or linked with any other value in the file. So if I have to change the file address, I'll have to change every single other value. Or maybe we can say that if someone's family name changed, so they want to update that information, so I'll have to go through every single piece of information about that student or about that person, and then I'll have to update it separately. So that means the data is dependent on each other. uh, in relational databases, this issue is easily resolved because I can update just one attribute, and that attribute will be updated everywhere, and the linkages can be formed accordingly, or the relationships can be formed in accordingly. So, data dependency, data inconsistency, and data redundancy issues can easily be resolved using relational databases. So whenever you encounter any question related to file-based approach or relational databases, make sure that you use these three words: data redundancy, data inconsistency, and data dependency. These are the keywords that are required for the answers. So let's just look at a past paper question where it says Bobby and Kim are discussing databases. Bobby tells Kim that a file-based approach is usually better than a relational database. Explain why Bobby is incorrect. If, for example, Bobby wants to store the information of only 5 students, and Bobby knows that the number of students will not exceed 5. Then an Excel file can be a better option, okay? Because the number of students are only 5 and they will never exceed 5. So that means Bobby only has to store this information of 5 students, okay? But what if the number of students exceeds 1,000, then a file-based approach will not give you the best results because it will have data redundancy, it will have data inconsistency, and it will have data dependency. So you have to use all these three values, three words in your answer. So Bobby is incorrect because a file-based approach has data repetition. The accuracy of data, uh, the data inconsistency is there because the data is not accurate or updated every single in every single file, and data dependency can also occur. It's not necessary that data dependency is always there, but there are chances that it can occur. Now let's look at the relational database terminologies, the words that are used in a relational database. First of all, we have a table. A table is basically an entity about which data can be stored. For example, I can store data about a student. I can store data about a teacher. I can store data about a patient. So about, like, I can store data about plants, birds, animals. So anything or any value about which data can be stored can be considered your table, or we can say that this is an entity. So the table name is also called an entity, and this question also comes in the paper where they say that identify the entities from this diagram shown or from this schema shown. So the name of the table is your entity, okay? An entity about which data can be stored, for example, student table, teacher table, etc. Then we have rows and columns. These vertical values are columns and the horizontal values are your rows. A complete row is also called a record, or we can call it a tuple. So if in the question they ask you to identify a tuple, this row is a tuple, this is a tuple, this is a tuple. Then a column is a field. So if they ask you to identify any field names, first name is a field, second name is a field, date of birth is a field. Okay. Then we have attributes. This single value is an attribute. This is an attribute. So all single values present in the table are your attributes. So a table has rows, records, and columns, fields. Now let's just look at the keys that can be used to link multiple tables together. So the table databases can have thousands of tables. It's not necessary that it will only have 4 or 5 tables. For example, your school database can have a class table, a subject table, a fee details table, student table, then they can have the administration table as well. So a database can consist of thousands of tables. So it depends what kind of organization is making that database, whether it's a small organization or a bigger organization. Now these keys play a very important role in linking the tables together. First up, we have the primary key. Primary key is basically a unique identifier that can identify every single attribute in the table. For example, if I want to search for the information of a student named Hamna. So if in my database I will write in the search field that in the search field I will write the name Hamna. There can be a lot of Hamnas in the school. So which particular Hamna am I looking for? For that, if I use a primary key, for example, if I use Hamna's registration ID, then this registration ID will only give me information about that particular student that I am trying to look for. So that is what a unique identifier is. Unique identifier only gives you information about uh, the particular value that you are looking for. For example, your Cambridge ID, that Cambridge ID or Cambridge registration number will only give me information about you. No one else will have the same registration ID. Or if I want to search for a particular person, then I need to uh, look for their national ID card number, and then I can use that ID card to extract info that ID card number to extract information about that particular student. So primary keys are basically unique identifier, and their values cannot be repeated. No one else will have the same registration number, the same roll number, the same Cambridge ID, the same national ID card number. So these values are unique, or your passport numbers, your driving license number. All these values are unique identifiers. Your name is not unique. People can have the same name. Your date of birth is not unique. Your father's name, the mother's name, these values are not unique. So whichever value in the table, whichever uh, field has a unique values, that field can be considered your primary key. Then we have a candidate key. As the name suggests, that this candidate key is an attribute where no tuple has the same value. So this candidate key can be a possible primary key, but it's not necessary that every candidate key is selected as a primary key. For example, a table can have multiple candidate keys, but it can only have one primary key. For example, we have this table here. If you look over here, the employee ID is a unique value, it's not repeated. Then we have employee license. Again, this is unique and it's not repeated. Then I have employee passport. This is also a unique value. So these three are your candidates for a primary key. Whichever you select is will be according to the scenario, but these three can be considered your primary keys because these are good options for a primary key. So these are called your candidate keys. Now, if I only select one key, for example, I select employee ID as my primary key, then the rest of the keys will be called your alternate keys because they are also unique. And if I did not select employee ID, then is my primary key, then I can select employee license and employee passport. But the main issue is that employee license might be linked with the employee name, but it might not be linked with the designation. So employee ID is the best option. Then we have secondary keys. I just explained that if we do not select a candidate, a particular candidate key for, as a primary key, then that candidate key will be considered your secondary key. So a secondary key is an alternative to the primary key. That means if the employee ID was not there, employee license or employee passport uh, might have been your primary keys. Then we have foreign keys. Foreign keys are the keys that can be used to link two tables together. For example, I have two tables here, table 1 and table 2. Table 1 has information about employees and table 2 has information about their designation. I want to link these two tables together because if I want to look for the designation of Tom, I'll have to search in table 2. So if I link these two tables together, then I'll just add the employee ID here and it will give me the whole information about Tom, their designation, regardless of the fact that designation is in the second table. But I have linked these two tables together. So if I search for the employee ID, it will give me the every single information that's present in all the tables that I have in the database. So how am I supposed to link these two tables together? So the designation has a designation ID, DID. Now I'm going to add this designation ID in my table 1. So if I add the designation ID in table 1, then this designation ID in table 1 will be considered your foreign key. Because it was a primary key in table 2, so this was a primary key of table 2 and I added this primary key in table 1. So in table 1, this will be your foreign key. But we need to make sure that the values of these keys match with each other. That means Tom's designation is at 2. John's designation is at 3 and Alice's designation is at 5. So these values should be equal, they should match each other. That's called referential integrity. When we are referencing a key, their values should match with each other. So till now we have studied primary keys. These are unique attributes that should not be repeated. Then we have candidate keys. Candidate keys are also unique attributes, but and they can be considered as good candidates for primary key, but it's not necessary that every candidate key is selected to be a primary key. A table can have multiple candidate keys, but it will only have one primary key. Then the values that are not selected to be the primary keys, they are considered your secondary keys. Okay, then we have a composite key. In some tables, it's not necessary that there is a field that is unique. There might be some tables that will not have a unique identifier. So it means that we can combine two keys together and form a combination of keys, and we can use these two keys as our primary key, and this will be called a composite key because it is a combination of multiple keys. Now let's just look at a schema here of the database. This is the name of our table. Customer is a table, or we can call it an entity. This table has these fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields or columns. This underlined value is your primary key. So this underlined value is your primary key. Then this is a second table, house. It has all these fields. Then rental is the third table. So this database has three tables, and all these three tables have these primary keys. So house ID is the primary key of the table house. Rental ID is the primary key of the table rental. Now let's see if there are any foreign keys to be in this schema as well, because we need to make sure that these tables are linked with each other. So we need to see if there are any foreign keys present. So this customer ID is a primary key of the customer table, and you can see that this customer ID is repeated here in the rental table as well. So that means the customer ID is a foreign key in the table rental. So the customer table and the rental table are forming a relationship using the primary key of the customer table. Then we have a house ID here. That is the primary key of the table house. And you can see that the house ID is being used in the table rental as well. So that means the house ID is a foreign key in the table rental, and it was the primary key of the table house. These two tables are linked with each other using these two keys. So this is the main purpose of your keys. Then let's just look at the relationships. We just discussed that how we can build a relationship between two different tables or more than one table. So one key can be linked with multiple tables. Now, what kind of relationships will be formed when these keys are linked with each other? So a relationship is formed when one table has a foreign key that refers to a primary key in another table. And I just explained what referential integrity was, that if we are using a foreign key, the values should match. If we look over here, the values are exactly the same in both the tables. So this is your referential integrity. There are four types of relationships that we can discuss. The first one is the one-to-one relationship. One-to-one relationship means that the values will be only linked with one attribute. For example, if I am a customer and I order something online, then the payment details, if I have already paid or submitted the amount, then the payment details will be generated, and those payment details will only be linked with the customer. That means me, because I was the one who ordered it. So those particular payment details will only be linked with my order. No other order can have the same payment details. So this means that this is a one-to-one relationship, that my order, my payment details will only be linked with my details. Okay. Then we have a one-to-many relationship. One-to-many relationship means that if I am ordering something, I can order multiple products. Or if I can make multiple orders from the same website. For example, in one order, I have particular values and I then place another order. So one customer can place multiple orders. So this is called one-to-many relationship. Then we have a many-to-many relationship, which is between order and product. My order can contain multiple products, and one product can be uh, ordered by multiple customers. So multiple orders can have the same product, and my order can have multiple products as well. So this is called a many-to-many relationship. Then we have a many to one relationship. A many to one relationship is shown in this table here. One class can be used by multiple students. So this is like a one to many relationship. One class is being used by multiple students. So these are the four relationships that are included in the syllabus. Then we have ER diagrams. ER diagrams are actually quite simple. So these are like the 3 marks that you can get out of the databases part question. So we have a question here that says, shop sells plants to customers. The shop manager has a relational database to keep track of the sales. The database plant sales has the following structure. So this is the structure of the database. This is a table. This is the table entity, table entity, table entity. Okay, this is also a table and entity. It has plants table has the plant name as the primary key. Customer table has the customer ID as the primary key. Purchase table has the purchase ID as the primary key. And purchase item has purchase item does not have any primary key, because you can see that there's purchase ID being repeated here and then the plant name is being repeated here. So now let's identify the foreign keys present here. This step here, identifying primary keys and foreign keys, is very important in order to draw the diagram for an entity relationship. Okay, these are called your entity relationship diagram. So what kind of relationship is between these two tables? So in your syllabus, it's most of the time they only give you one to many relationship. There's no other relationship that can be formed in the ER diagram. So now let's just look for the foreign keys. The plant name here is a primary key in the table plant, and here it is being used as a foreign key. Then the customer ID is a primary key of the table customer, and here it's being used as a foreign key. So that means there's a relationship between customer table and purchase. And there's a relationship between plant table and purchase. Now we have a purchase ID, and this purchase ID is the primary key of the table purchase, and it can be used as a foreign key in the purchase item. So we have a relationship here as well. Now let's see how we can draw the relationships here. So now we have identified all the keys, primary key and foreign key. So the table plant and purchase item are linked with each other. So we are going to draw a line here that will link plant and purchase item. And the primary key of the table plant is being used as a foreign key in the table purchase item. So the foreign key is on the side of purchase item. So I'm going to draw a many relationship here. These 3 lines show that the relationship between plant and purchase item is 1 to many. Now, the table customer and purchase has a relationship with each other. So I will draw a line here and I will see on which side is the foreign key. So the customer ID, the primary key of the table customer, is being used as a foreign key in the table purchase. So I am going to draw the many relationship on the purchase side. Then at the end, the relationship is between purchase and purchase item. So I'm going to draw a line here, and let's see the foreign key of purchase ID is being used, the primary key of purchase ID is being used as a foreign key of the table purchase item. So I'm going to draw the many relationship here. So this is how you can draw your ER diagram. Now let's just look at one last question. So here we have 3 tables: actor, film fact, and film actor, or 3 entities basically. Actor ID is the primary key of the table actor. Film ID is the primary key of the table film fact. And the table film actor does not have a primary key of its own. So basically, it's using the keys of actor and film fact and combining these two together. So these two can be considered your composite keys. So actor ID is the primary key of the table actor, and here it is being used as the foreign key. And film ID is the primary key of the table film fact, and here it's being used as the foreign key. So now we have a relationship between the table actor and film actor only. So the table actor and film fact have no relationship with each other. So film actor is basically being used to combine these two tables together. So now the foreign key is on the side of the table film actor. So I'm going to draw the many relationship here. And the film fact and film actor also have a relationship. So I'm going to draw a line. And the foreign key is on the side of the table film actor. So I'm going to draw the many relationship here. So this is how you draw your ER diagrams. This question is relatively easier. So we are going to discuss the normalization processes and then the DDL commands and DML commands in the next video.